reasonable price. Chintan, over to you.
Thank you, sir. I think almost every speaker has covered a lot of things on the hydrogen economy and the bonds market, but nevertheless, being a banker myself, IRIDA is the only renewable energy financing agency of India. We are a pure dedicated NBFC for financing renewables, and we've been doing so from last 32 years since our inception. So being a banker, I would like to throw certain numbers also. Everybody knows 100 gigawatt has been installed in India. Around 40 to 50 gigawatt of projects are under construction as we speak right now. If you look at the debt scenario of India, close to $22 billion of debt is right now, as we speak right now, is shared across all term lenders, which is the banks, the FIs, both private as well as government. While the bond market represents something like 11 to 12 billion dollars. So in together about $33 billion of debt capital is tied up today with all the developers together. Interestingly, 1/3 happens to be the bond market, and the bond market has taken a fair amount of traction in the last 5 years. IRIDA also, we had our own first masala bond in 2017, 2,000 crore bond, which we raised at 7.125% of coupon rate, which was quite good at that juncture. Probably we were the first FI. Now going forward, what the landscape looks like in terms of the total targets of government of India and including the hydrogen economy and all. So we did some calculation for the next 8 to 9 years. The total debt capital required would be something like 12 lakh crores, which is something like $160 billion of total debt capital will be required to be raised from the market. That includes the lenders as well as the bond market, the money market. And we personally feel that around 60 to 70 billion dollar would be term lending or the construction capital as we speak right now, because most of the projects after working for 3 years of stabilization will go to the bond market. So over the next 8 to 9 years, you will say that around $60 billion would be tied up with term lending and about $100 billion will be in the bond market. That's what the broad landscape looks like, give or take here and there. And obviously, the bonds instruments would be getting further developed in terms of floating of AIF by the various debt institutions. I would say category 2 at AIF, which is essentially debt, or people would be raising money through InvIT, as well as normal corporate bonds and which might get funded by various entities. So that's a broad thing on the financial landscape side. Now, green hydrogen is very interesting because green hydrogen doesn't only talk about energy transition, it's also a commodity transition. If someone wants to use liquid ammonia and fix liquid ammonia as a raw material, as a fertilizer, you're actually manufacturing green fertilizer. Or somebody who's going to use green producer gas or sync gas, you will be manufacturing green steel. So you're not just looking at energy transition, but a commodity transition. If you look at the energy landscape of India, of the total 100 units of landscape of energy basket of India, only 15 units of electricity. 85 units is still primary energy, which is essentially coal, oil, natural gas, and biomass. The advantage of hydrogen is hydrogen becomes a Swiss knife. It was always a challenge for cheaper renewables to get into the primary energy market or the basket. Hydrogen allows that transition from going from electricity to the primary energy market, because by manufacturing hydrogen into value addition, you will be replacing the natural fuel or natural fossil fuel, either coal or basic oil and gas. That's an advantage of hydrogen. Another advantage with the hydrogen, unlike the traditional method of renewable energy, which is grid connected solar or wind, to that matter, electricity market happens to be a regulated market in India. So when you are bidding for a project, you have a fixed tariff regime. While unfortunately your interest rates cannot be fixed, it will have some connotation with the market dynamics. You can't raise a 25-year bond, everybody knows it. You can maximum raise a bond today in the range of 5 years. That's where the sweet spot is. While a 20-year bond is unheard of today, one or two people have done it, but it's tough. The advantage with the hydrogen economy is you are getting into a commodity which is deregulated. Ammonia, or to that matter, hydrogen or natural gas, the deregulated commodity. And in a way, you have a natural hedge in terms of dollar pricing, because natural gas pricing, ammonia pricing, cooking coal pricings are linked with dollar parity. That means if one wants to put up a project on a hydrogen economy, you might not have to look at the type of hedge instrument what one is looking today, because your revenue, although is going to be in rupee, but it's going to be dollar linked. So you have a state advantage of reduction of cost of generation. That's the biggest important part. And hedging cost needs to be knocked off on both the sides, debt as well as equity. Because when you get equity investment coming from overseas, they also put a hedge instrument to their equity investment in terms of their hurdle rate. Now that hurdle rate need not be the same because the final commodity is market linked and dollar linked. It's deregulated. That's the key to it. Apart from that, there's always an option of exporting ammonia from India, because if for some reason you don't think there's a value in selling ammonia in India, you can always export it, because unlike electricity where you require a transmission grid to export it, ammonia can be handled quite easily. Just a little bit landscape about, because I think there was this presentation of the US government also. I think every country needs to evolve its own plan of action for the green hydrogen. As far as India is concerned, I think two major sectors which are the key to India happens to be fertilizer sector and the steel sector. Fertilizer uses ammonia as a raw material, and ammonia is manufactured from natural gas. So essentially the natural gas is a raw material to the fertilizer industry. Natural gas gets converted into ammonia and ammonia into urea and DAP. Same in the case of steel, you require a coking coal to manufacture steel. Both can be replaced using hydrogen economy. You can have green ammonia for the fertilizer and sink gas or a producer gas for the steel industry. So that just, I did a rough calculation. If one was to just meet the target of the ammonia and the coking coal in the fertilizer and steel, you require something like 350,000 megawatts of solar to just meet the need of these two sectors. And interestingly, both the sectors are growing. Fertilizer is going to grow till 2040 because your acre per yield per acreage is going, as well as steel is going to be always in a bullish position because you are going to put huge amount of infra. So you have a growing sector, which is fertilizer and steel, which can essentially get into green commodity, which is from hydrogen, and both you are replacing a commodity which is deregulated. So that's a very, very interesting thing. One last thing which I would like to tell over here, the key lies in economies of scale. I mean to say, people migrated from putting 50 megawatt of solar to 250 megawatt, 3 megawatts, 300 megawatt of solar projects. Hydrogen economy, one can't think of something less than 4 to 5 gigawatt of project at one single location. Because if you want to put up an electrolyzer, I think there's a great economy of scale when you put a 5 gigawatt electrolyzer, not a 250 megawatt electrolyzer. That economies will never come. So have economies of scale. You also make up a reformer unit to manufacture ammonia at one particular location. Essentially, you create an entire refinery complex at one location where you have a 5 gigawatt of RE park coupled with electrolyzer of a 5 gigawatt size and a reformer for ammonia, so that you can essentially handle ammonia and transport ammonia to a variety of places. That means one particular project ideally should be in the range of 5 gigawatt, representing something like $5 to $6 billion of investment, total investment, and something like $3.5 to $4 billion of debt requirement. Now, that's the method that's going to go forward, where the economies of scale of entire target of 111 by 1 decade would make more sense. So that's all I had to share from my side, sir. Over to you. Thank you.